All right, let us begin our waving style training. Now there are a plethora of different waving styles one can choose from, but there are three main basic fundamental wave concepts that I will teach you in this tutorial to help you start the fundamentals of your waving style. Those three concepts are going to be the arm wave, passing the wave from one arm to the next. Number two is the body wave. And the third is the trace wave. But before we begin any of those fancy ones, we must understand the key concepts of the arm wave. Now to begin our arm wave training, we're going to first put our hands on tabletop position. We call this tabletop position because you imagine if your arms are resting on a table. And we begin with the 9-point isolation concept in the arm wave, and it goes like this. Starting with this arm, we start with the fingers. Next, we go to the wrist. From the wrist, we go to the elbow. From the elbow, we go to the shoulder. Shoulder drops and goes to the chest. From the chest goes to the shoulder. From the shoulder, we go to the elbow. Elbow goes to the wrist. Wrist goes to fingers and back out. Let's try that back from the other way. Fingers go in, then to the wrist, then to the elbow, then to the shoulder, then to the chest, to the shoulder, to the elbow, to the wrist, to the fingers and out. And those are the 9 points in the arm wave isolation. You can actually add more points in the arm wave, but for now, if you can memorize those 9 basic points, and you make sure that your body can memorize, muscle memorize, going from one point to the next, just a simple bounce in the isolation, you will be on a good path to starting nice and fluid arm waves. Now, there's a key point to recognize. When we do each isolation, we want to make sure that we contain the wave down to a single point in the body. For example, when it goes to the fingers, the wave energy is here in the hand. Now, when the wave energy passes to the wrist goes up, but notice, the fingers have reset back to neutral. Now, when the wrist energy goes to the elbow, from here, elbow goes up, notice, wrist and fingers are reset back to neutral. From the elbow to the shoulder, the shoulder is only isolated while the rest of the previous isolations have returned back to the tabletop position. And we continue this with the rest of the arm wave. It is an energy traveling through the body. If we didn't do it, some beginners often create this weird effect where, their hand drops or their arm drops, or it's still being isolated and it loses the illusion. So to keep the illusion of the arm wave, you have to reset each prior isolation back to its original position. Good. Now let's do it slowly. Again. Arms on tabletop. And we begin with this side. Fingers, wrist, elbow, shoulder, chest, shoulder, elbow, wrist, fingers and out. Back in again. Fingers, wrist, elbow, shoulder, chest, shoulder, elbow, wrist, fingers and out. Let's try a little faster now, getting you more acquainted with the isolations. 5, 6, 7, 8. We go fingers, wrist, elbow, shoulder, chest, shoulder, elbow, wrist, fingers back in, fingers, wrist, elbow, shoulder, chest, shoulder, elbow, wrist, fingers back in. A little faster. 5, 6, 7, 8. Fingers, wrist, elbow, shoulder, chest, shoulder, elbow, wrist, fingers out, fingers, wrist, elbow, shoulder, chest, shoulder, elbow, wrist, fingers out. Good. You can rest those arms now. You may notice your arms begin to burn a little bit, but that's good. That is increasing your muscle strength in your arms. You want to have good muscle strength in your arms for a waving style. in the arm wave style at least. So we're going to do this into the next portion. Now once you have memorized the isolation points, the 9 isolation points, you want to liquefy it. Liquefying it means creating a liquid-like transition between each isolation. So let's try that. Starting from this hand, we go fingers to the wrist, to the elbow, to the shoulder, to the chest, to the shoulder, to the elbow, to the wrist, to the fingers, and out. Back in again. Fingers to the wrist, to the elbow, to the shoulder, to the chest, to the shoulder, to the elbow, to the wrist, to the fingers, and out. Good. Now once you create that smooth transition between each isolation, that's when it literally becomes the water element. Just going back and forth, rolling in between each isolation. Now let's go a little deeper into the arm wave and really break it down, each isolation point even better. When we get to the fingers, your fingers are an arm wave unto themselves. If you can learn to create very fluid finger waves up and down and up and down, it'll be a nice cherry on top in your waves. A good technique is if there's a table on your desk or on the floor, practice pushing up and down on that table and going backwards too, to create the smooth and fluid-like finger and hand waves. So those are the fingers. When we get to the wrist just simply goes up and down. Up and down. Fingers, wrist, wrist, fingers, fingers, wrist, wrist, fingers. When we get to the elbow, now the elbow is the hardest part of the wave, the arm wave. But if you can get good isolation in the elbow, your arm waves will look very, very solid. Now what's happening in the elbow? What's happening is we're waving from the wrist. Now when the elbow is about to go, the elbow rotates upwards. And how it goes upwards, your shoulder has to roll forward slightly to help kick that elbow up. It's very much similar to a tut when we're in this position, except not as extreme. Up like that. Okay? You want to get this swiveling like motion in your elbow. Okay? And when it's up, notice how my hands are still on tabletop there. Okay? And that's the elbow portion. You can put your hands on the wall and practice rotating around, back around and up. Around and up, around, down and up. Just practicing this motion while holding the hands still in place. Just like this. Good. Next we go to the shoulders. Now the shoulders have a lot of movement in them. But when you're first beginning your arm waves, you really just want to have them go up and up, up and up. Eventually you can start playing with rolling the shoulders. Rolling them back and back. Okay? But for now, just try to keep it this way. Same thing goes for the chest. When we do the chest, it goes out, back in again. Out, back in again. When we get more advanced, we can roll the chest to have it in the more 3D effect. And so forth. Coming back out. So those are breaking down each of the 9 isolation points in the arm wave. Now let's go back to practicing our arm wave, except this time we're going to add some counts to it. So we stay on beat with the music at all times. So, arms on tabletop. We're going to do an 8-count arm wave. Another tip I forgot to mention is practicing slow is mastering the move. All masters in martial arts or movement always say that this piece is very important. They stress that you must practice your moves slow in order to memorize each minuscule movement and mastering each little part of it. It's easy to fake the wave and go really fast. You can cover a lot of your mistakes, but when you try to practice super slow, that's when you really have to show that you have mastered the arm wave. Now we're going to do an 8-count arm wave, and I advise you to try your best to stay with me. You may notice it's very common for beginners to speed up the wave. I will be here in the elbow while some of you will be in the other elbow already. But try to stay with me so that you master each part of the isolation and go slowly. Okay? So we're going to repeat our hands out and tabletop again. And we're going to go at A count at this speed. 5, 6, 7, 8. We go 1, 2, 3. Chest on 4. Other arm 5, 6, 7. Fingers out. 8. Back in again. 1, 2, 3. Chest 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. Again. 1, 2, 3. Chest 4. Out. 5, 6, 7, 8. Back again. 1, 2, 3. Chest 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. A little faster. 5, 6, and 7, 8. 1, 2, 3. Chest 4. 5, 6, 7. Out. 8. 1, 2, 3. Chest 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3. Chest 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3. Chest 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. Very, very nice. If you have stayed with me, good job. If you notice that your arm waves are going too much faster or too slow, try to stick with the speed. Now you can break down the arm wave into a 4-count arm wave, such as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can even break it down to a 2-count. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But it is strongly advised to be able to do the 8-count. It is even better advised to do a 16 count arm wave, where the chest is on 8, and it would go like this. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Chest 8. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Back in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good job, everyone. Now that is the fundamentals of our arm wave. Continue to practice those 9 isolation points, and soon you will start to get better and more fluid in your arm waves. Let's go on to the next body wave.